So before we get started or start talking about all of this, or probably before I introduce myself, let's do a quick pulse check, right? So I want everybody to close their eyes for 30 seconds and imagine that you were in 2010. I believe every one of us have experienced 2010, and I'm sure there's no one who is born after 2010 here, right? So we know how the 2010 was. I just want all of you to go back in 2010. Imagine for 30 seconds that you are in 2010 and how your day-to-day life goes in. You wake up and you sleep, right? How your day goes in throughout, and more importantly, are there any AI driven applications you deal in and around you? Just think about it, right? You are in 2010 and you're just having your routine of the day. Are there any AI devices, AI applications, or probably AI driven website or whatnot, which you might end up interacting with? When I say AI, it doesn't necessarily mean a robot or kind of an intelligent system. It can be analytics driven or a data science driven as well, right? Okay. So I would like two volunteers here to talk about the 30 seconds.
In yeah, maybe in 2010, I don't see like a lot of AI or analytic driven thing, especially in my domain. I work for retail, and maybe in 2010 it was more of a market basket analysis. Uh, that was, I mean,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
the
So
most sophisticated thing that was there around in 2010 in this area.
okay. So probably maybe I don't know if you guys heard it right, but forget about your day-to-day work. What I meant was in and around you, right? You start your day, you take a vehicle, you go to office, right? You start working over there, and then you go for a lunch. Again, you work for some time, then you travel back home. You take out your kids for a walk. Probably you go with your family for a dinner and then come back home. So this is your usual routine, right? So in this routine, do you come across any of these AI driven products or applications or anything for that matter? If so, then what were those?
I don't remember any.
The
Okay.
location tracking was one of the favorite application in 2020.
Location tracking. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? So probably your summary is that you did not interact with any of the AI or analytics capabilities 10 years back. Okay. And anyone else who have encountered anything of that sort, or you are aligned with this quick summary? So with the silence, I believe we are aligned with the quick summary, right? Now let's do the same exercise in 2020. So basically where we are today, right? Imagine, or probably you don't have to imagine now because you're already in the present. Just talk about the AI driven products or applications. When I say again, it's analytics or data science or AI, whatnot. So yes, any other volunteers?
Okay, Netflix recommendation system. It is coming on Akshay's slide actually. Okay.
Amazon recommendation, not in India, US.
Oh, okay. He doesn't like Amazon recommendation. Even I just hate it.
No, no, in
It's very
US.
badly done. So badly done. That's
uh,
not me actually.
and how about Mintra's recommendation?
Mintra I don't use. I use yeah. Mintra seems to be the best. Huh?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's one of the best I've seen, at least from an Indian e-commerce standpoint. Okay, so we have one such application which is recommendation system. Other than recommendation systems, what else in our day-to-day lives?
Chatbots.
Chatbots. Yes. Next.
Alexa, speech.
Yes. Next. Good one.
Virtual consultation.
Uh,
IoTs.
Okay. IoTs. Okay. Okay. Uh, any one of you feel that your recent purchase, what you made, was driven not by your other half or probably your family, but rather it was driven by AI.
Automatic payments. Some contribution is there because in Amazon, one of the use case recently I observed,
Mm-hmm.
whenever I'm planning to buy some product, this is a recently I observed, okay? So I put
Mm-hmm.
in my
Cart.
wish list,
Wish list.
and
Mm-hmm.
using as a trick, maybe I could be wrong. So what they do, after few weeks, after few months, they started lowering the price. Okay, so now I don't know. Maybe I'm might be doing wrong. So what I do if I need to buy something, maybe within 3 months or 4 months. So I know that Amazon is doing this thing. So I'm just simply putting the wishing list so that I get
So
more
he
discount.
he is doing it on his advantage. So any products he wants to buy, put it in wish list, or if over a period of time, price gets slashed. Right?
That's really cool. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the tip. Probably I'll try leveraging it as well.
I recently I purchased a printer, so I got some.
Okay, awesome. So now let's get in another imagination. Let's assume or hypothetically let's imagine that we are in 2035 or 2040. Close your eyes and how your day in day out might look like. What are the other interactions you might end up see?
Autonomous vehicles.
Autonomous vehicles. Okay.
Yes.
Then
Work from home virtual.
okay.
Probably everything is online school.
Online schools. Okay.
More recommendations for daily routines.
Okay. So I mean, if you just imagine your day, right? So probably how about your phone wakes you up without you kind of alerting that with an alarm or something of that sort. Maybe it has observed your recent behavior and it has already tracked that, hey, this person is gonna wake up or the my mobile user is gonna wake up at so and so time. Probably I'll buzz him around it. Right? You wake up with AI driven capabilities. You get with your morning routines, and when your Alexa or Siri or whatnot gives you all the updates of the day, what it's been, right? And then you walk out of the home, you go to you don't have to drive, there's a self-driving car, you go to office, there you don't carry a laptop and all of this, you just have you can just populate your screen anywhere on the walls, right? So, and then you finish off all your work, your meetings, and then you come back, and then again you don't have to even literally kind of lock your cars or probably worry about parking or probably once you get out of the car, start working towards home, you don't have to even unlock your home, right? Probably your door kind of identifies your footsteps and it opens up the door for you automatically, right? There's a lot what we can imagine and we can expect to happen in near future or probably in next 10 years or so, right? Yes, and that's the kind of era we are getting into now, right? We are moving from mobile first to AI first, right? We will see all of it in our coming slides, but I just wanted to start with few of the imaginations, right? Now you see something on your screen here, dismantling AI. Now I want to understand from you what it means to you and what are your expectations for next 40-45 minutes. Okay, I think then my presentation is gonna be really easy because there are no expectations. I can talk anything, right? I mean, guys, set some benchmarks, set some. Hey, I mean, this is my day one in Reva. I want to know this. I want to know so and so things. I mean, again, might be relevant to this title what you see here, but even it can go either ways, right? Any expectations, anything you want to know, so that I cover it as a part of my storyline.
Maybe the market analysis on AI.
Market analysis on AI. Okay, good. Yes, because I have like one more than 100 slides, and we have to kind of limit it somehow, right? Because anyways, I'll be talking through all of this again when we meet once your modules and courses start, right? I'll be there bothering all of you, don't worry. But today I just want to give you a gist of few things, so that my gist should be aligned with your expectations. This is me. I'm currently a part of Publicis Sapient Data Science and AI team, majorly leading e-commerce, retail, marketing engagements with our clients in kind of delivering AI-driven applications. Right. I'm also a Google developer expert. I've been publishing books. I'm an author. I've written books on NLP, deep learning, and blah blah blah. So, and then probably I think in 2019 I was featured in top 40 under 40 data scientists in India. So that's me. I've kind of split this into two parts, wherein in first part we try to understand analytics and AI at a whole, and in part two we will pick few of the scenarios and what are the industry expectations from professionals like you, right? So probably once you complete your course for next 1.5 or 2 years, what are the expectations from the industry? What's in it for you? All right. Okay. Yeah, I think this slide pretty much covers what we imagined, right? So these are the things what we see in and around us on a day-to-day basis. Maybe few of you are more business-oriented things here, like churn prediction, customer segmentation. But most of this, and even self-driving car, have put it for the reason that it's already in the place, but not out in the market, right? And I believe everybody is kind of encountered either of few of these at least. Right. Now, how do we define AI? Everybody keeps talking about AI. Everybody keeps talking about analytics. Everybody keeps talking about data science. What is it actually? How can we define that? So if you ask me, I mean, it's a very simple thing. Even if I want to explain it to my kid, or even if I want to explain it to anyone else who is a layman who doesn't understand technology, it's nothing but replicating intelligence into machines, right? Now, one question for you guys. We have calculator. Yes. Can someone tell me calculator, is it AI? Now that we know the simple definition of AI, now can someone tell me, is calculator a AI application or a AI product? Yes, no, no, okay. I probably from this pulse check, right? Just let's have a summary. Like, what's the percentage of yes and no from the ground? Everybody says no, or everybody says yes, or it's 50-50.
50-50.
Okay. I think we will uncover that soon. So you heard of machine learning, you heard of deep learning, you heard of NLP, you heard of analytics, you heard of data science. All of these are the building blocks of AI, right? When you want to inculcate intelligence into machines, it can be either through machine learning, deep learning, NLP, analytics, sciences, and whatnot. Right? Now, your question should be, how are you relating analytics to AI? Right? I would definitely say it's the first building block. Right? Now the offers you're getting from your vendors, the offers you're getting from your Amazon, your Vodafone, Airtel, and whatnot, all the offers you see in and around you, it's not just randomly shared with you, obviously, because those are unique to a few of the individuals, right? And yes, it's driven by marketing analytics. So there's an intelligence system there which kind of says, for a retailer or an e-commerce platform, hey, for this person, give this offer, your revenue goes up. So there is an intelligence system behind there. But I call it as an analytics because I'm applying analytics to solve that problem, right? So artificial is a bigger umbrella under which you see all of these building blocks. Now, AI is not new if you ask me, right? It's been since like what long, so long and long. and then probably late 1980s we started hearing about machine learning, and then probably in late 2010s we started hearing about deep learning. But then why data science or AI engineer term was not coined long back? Why it is coined probably, let's say, a few years back? And anyone would like to take this? Because that's my next slide, and then if someone is able to answer that's really cool.
Because now we have a lot of data where we can leverage the information and build insight. That's where we are working with the data to see what we can do on it.
Awesome. So data, very good, very valid and good point. Your good name, please.
Positive.
Vasudev. Good one, Vasudev. Next.
A lot of users now in the online.
Okay, again, it's related to data. Good point. Next.
Ravi here. So earlier the cost to store the data was costly.
Awesome. Good point. Computing power as well as cost efficiency.
Correct.
Right? Good one. Next. So we have data, we have compute power. Do you think only these are the two reasons? What is most actively happening in and around AI? Every day you see new technique coming in. Every day you see a new concept coming in. Every day you see a new tool or a new language coming in.
Yeah. So frequently the technology has been frequently changing. Earlier I think every 2 3 years a technology used to be changed. Now it is like every month or every year.
Yes, at least in AI, right? The research is most active, right? We hear new concept, new technique every day. That's where I want to make a point right now that if you have a zeal to learn, if you are a curious individual, then this field is for you, right? Lots of people ask me, right? Hey, Akshay, please, can you please tell me? I want to be a data scientist like you. Can you please tell me what it takes? I don't have a computer science background. I don't know anything about statistics. I say, yeah, obviously. I mean, there's a lot of misconception around it, right? Hey, you have to be good at programming. Hey, you have to be good at computer science. You have to be good at stats and whatnot. But it's all. I would say not required. The only prerequisite what I see here is your passion and your zeal to learn. If you have these two, trust me. I mean, you can achieve anything you would like around AI. That's how it is. I'm a mechanical engineer, to be frank. I'm a mechanical engineer graduate. So if I can be there, I can be here what I'm today, then anybody in this world can achieve great heights. So remove that misconception from your mind that hey, I don't know programming, I cannot be a data scientist. Hey, I don't know statistics, I cannot be a data scientist. No, it's never so. Okay. All right. So we have covered all of these points, right? Yes. So when I say computing power, right, it talks about both the storage as well as for you to run the algorithms. All of these cloud systems coming in AWS, Google Cloud, your Azure from Microsoft, all of this are playing a major role, but still they are not cost effective as such for a small companies. But I think we should be there. In another 5 years, you're gonna have cost effective computing powers. So as we know that it's not new, then what's the brief history? We are saying that it's like we had it beyond so many decades. Then what's the history? Now I think you'll get few of your answers, which we kind of lagged in 1672. The first AI we call it as. What was it? A very simple calculator which just performed four calculations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division in 1672. Right? Again, for automation being a subset of AI, speed, right? Again, when I said AI, when I defined AI with a simple definition, that a system in which we can inculcate the intelligence. Obviously, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division is an intelligence for me, right? And then I'm just directly jumping on to the 19th century. So that's wherein lot of topics around Turing started, you know, around digital computers, or probably which can simulate the formal reasoning, and research led the possibility of building a electronic brain. So again, in 1940s it was still in a research phase, but then in 1950, I mean, I'm sure you guys know Alan Turing, right? He's one of the founding fathers of modern AI in today's world, right? So, for those who don't know the Turing, what does Turing test mean? If you just spend 30 seconds on this slide, you'll know what the Turing test mean, right? You build a product, and you try to compute that product with a human being. When I say computation here, probably if you have built a product for a mathematics solution, you'll probably bring in a mathematician as a computation for it. And if those two human being as well as your AI product are in two different rooms, and there's an interviewer or a panel member who is trying to kind of judge your capability on it, and if an interviewer is not able to identify who is a person or who is a AI product, then your Turing test is passed. The concept of Turing started long back, right? And officially 1956 to 74, their research was founded at Dartmouth College. Officially, I would say a foundation for research in AI. Again, it was all using algebras, statistics, theorems, and all of it. But yes, that was a starting point. So research into AI is not new, right? I believe everybody is aware of this now. So IBM's Deep Blue Bit, right? So again, that was the first kickoff in 1990s for IBM into the world of AI. But then IBM picked it up from there to Watson. So even now, I believe you will have a course on IBM Watson. Maybe it's not doing really great, I would say, but yes, it's one of such AI product what we have in today's century. So it was a first sign of AI beating the people at non-math. So again, I'm really excited about IBM Watson. You guys exploring it, right? And this is, I think, this is no big news. Everybody knows about it, right? Google's DeepMind. It beats Lee Sedol 4-1 at Go. So this was a breakthrough for the AI industry, wherein all the experts were under assumption that only we would reach stage 1 of AI in 2020, but we are well ahead of it already. So Google's DeepMind was the first such breakthrough what we have in our AI industry. And today it's booming everywhere. Talk about any industry, any domain, any market, you see AI around it. And when we be really cautious about the healthcare and the medical domain, even there we see AI being proactively researched and used. Yes, there are a lot of false positives to it. Still, we are trying to get there where we want to be. Right? Probably I'll keep this slide for one of our modules when we meet in our course point of time, and I would say that 50% of the uh, things what you see on the screen, you'll be building all of those against relevant domains, relevant industry, and whatnot. So 2015, that's wherein we realized that hey, we have been doing a lot of AI project than expected. So in 2012, Google really did not have any AI projects around it. But in 3 years, they kind of started running 2,700 projects. That's a huge. So that's wherein, if you have realized, around that period of time, data scientist was termed as sexiest job of 21st century. Right? So I mean, what I'm trying to say with all of this is, we are not late. We are at the right stage, in the right position, and with the right motivation. I believe all of you might have a right motivation to come here and sit, or probably join this course. And I would like to say this, that you are on the right track. Again, this is again from our imagination, right? AI, how does it matter? It matters our businesses, our lives, our society. What are the implications? What are the impact of it through all of this triangle, right? So now a bit of dismantling is what let's do. How many of you have seen this news? It was back in probably I would say 2014 or 15. How many of you have seen this news? It was published by Business Standards.
Air India is in news now. I thought Google is betting big on Air India now. No?
Now, I mean, if you see, right, this was published by Business Standard. There is no AI system here. A human being who was a publisher or probably was a news reporter in Business Standard. He kind of watched Sundar Pichai's key IO note. So every year, Sundar Pichai comes live and it gives the updates of Google for almost a couple of hours. So you can search in YouTube, you will see key IO notes lots of every year. In one of those, he was talking that Google is gonna bet heavily on AI. That's the statement what Sundar Pichai made. But then a news reporter thought AI to be Air India.
Okay, now we know.
Air India is on sale now.
Yeah, it's not good.
So I mean, see, as a human, we are not able to get the context right. But in today's world, machines are doing wonders. Algorithms are doing wonders. If you have heard of word embeddings, if you have heard of Glow, Word2Vec, they are better than humans in capturing the context. Right? So when I say context, what I mean is I like Apple. I'm using Apple from day one, and I like Apple. So now you know that I say I'm using, so I'm talking about the brand, I'm talking about the laptop, or probably I'm talking about the phone. But for machines or algorithms, it can still be a fruit or a brand or whatnot. So what I'm trying to say is when human can make such errors, machines are getting better at it, right? So again, there are pros and cons of on both the sides, but we are getting there, right? Another such examples wherein now on the contrary, where we can understand it easily, but machines are still struggling, algorithms are still struggling. The sarcasm part. Now, if you see, here as a kid, I dreamed of being 30 with a good car, big house, and highly paid job. At least one dream came true. I'm 30 now, right? So if I pass it on to a sentiment analyzer, what we have today, if you build a sentiment analysis on top of this topic, it would obviously give me a neutral or a positive one. While I was being sarcastic that I was not able to achieve anything of my dreams, right? So I'm just trying to connect the dots, and I'm trying to open up few of the gray areas what we have in terms of the human intelligence as well as the machine intelligence. And that's wherein I kind of bet heavily on you guys to build such systems in next 2 years. And in today's world, fake news is a hot topic. Everybody's want to get rid of fake news, and we still don't have a system which predicts fake news accurately. WhatsApp is still trying some workarounds around it, right? Because it had a lot of issues around a lot of forwards, and a lot of people taking it in a wrong way and whatnot. But yeah, we are still far achieved there, right? Again, so the disambiguation is what I meant. If you see the last sentence here, Jaguar can refer to car or an animal, both. Now, how do you identify what it is? Again, based on the sentence, based on the context, right? So now, once you go back home today, try to interact with Apple Siri, try to interact with chatbots, try to interact with some intelligent systems. You will know what are the things which are lacking in, what are the things or what are the opportunities for me to work on when I'm entering into the AI field, right? So I mean, here, right, maybe in the coming slides, I do have that one such opportunity for you guys. So Let me see if I can just quickly show that as a demo itself. I'm not sure if they have fixed it, but let me give my best. Just a second. How many of you visited Grofers? Grofers.com. Yes, no, yes, no, no. No one visited Grofers.com?
Some of them.
Some of them, okay. But for me, so probably for me, I've been a long time in Toronto, and then I was in UAE. So I was like, for most of the time I was outside India, and for me the best way to get the groceries to my home for my parents was Grofers. I sometimes use Big Basket, but somehow I got inclined towards Grofers. I started using it, right? So my mom gave me a list of all the groceries she wants to order, and probably in one of the item was rice powder. She literally mentioned that she wanted rice powder. So as a normal human tendency, what I did, here my mom has written rice powder, so I'll go ahead and search for rice powder. Either I'm getting rice in the output or I'm getting any of the other powders.
Powder. I think the search mechanism is working only on powder.
Detergent powders.
The powder is filtering. So it's
So
just search engine problem.
so if you see here rice powder, so it's just doing an entity search here. It's looking for powder as an entity, and it's going for a search, and it's showing me detergent. How pathetic the experience is going to be. Imagine i'm I'm searching for a rice powder. Okay, fine, getting rice on top still makes sense. Getting some other relevant product to rice powder makes sense. It's altogether a detergent powder. Come on. At least if I'm building such product, I don't want it to be such pathetic. Now okay, this what happens now, I feel that, oh, rice powder is not there with grocers. That's why they are not showing it. Correct. That's a mindset what we get in, and we go to competitors. I go to some other website, I order it. Now with this kind of experience, with this kind of lack in the intelligence, Grofers is losing a customer. However, they have it. So now what I'll do is, I mean, rice flour. What I did is, I went to Google, I searched powder synonym, because I realized that their search engine is not great. I've built a lot of search engines. I know how it works. So I know that it's entity to entity match. So I searched for an exact rice flour. When I searched it, I found it on the first thing. So why couldn't they, when I searched for rice powder, why couldn't they get Bhagya Lakshmi rice flour on top search result? So this problem, if I was in 2010, I would have agreed, oh, this is great tool, or this is a great website. But we are in 2020 now. This is not acceptable. Be frank, right? So spend some time, see where the intelligence is missing, where you feel, hey, there's a scope for me to improve, or where there's a scope for me to deep dive and solve these problems, right? I can just spend 5 minutes to solve this problem. If Grofers give me the source code, I can bring in all the semantic search intelligence systems. We call it as semantic intelligence. We can incorporate that using word embeddings and whatnot. It's under NLP, right? So I mean, try to identify the gaps from day one. Don't wait for we to start statistics, we to start programming. Hey, I'll do all of this when I start with ML. No, don't wait. From once you go home today, have a notebook. At least have 10 points where you see gap in and around you, where you feel I can put in AI and I can improve the outcomes. I can solve this problem using AI, right? So as and when you start learning, you can start solving those problems in parallel, and those can become your capstone projects as well, right? Now we all feel that this is the progress we are making as a human with respect to the time, right? But no, it's not the case. From 2010 till 2020, the pace you have seen might look like a linear, but from 2020 it's going to be exponential, right? And that's how our AI is innovating. There is experimentation, which follows exponential growth, and then it levels off. Right? So 2020, you're at the right time in the right field to solve the right problems or the required problems. Right? Again, I'm not talking about the robots here at all. I'm talking about a individual human brain. Hey, if you can do this reasoning, hey, if you can do this calculation, hey, if you can do this, let me try inculcating that intelligence in the machines through some algorithms. Right? So at high level, right, we have three types of artificial intelligence. One is narrow intelligence. The second one is general intelligence, ANI, AGI. The last one is ASI, super intelligence. Right? So narrow intelligence is where we are already in, which is specialized in one area. You build one model, you build one algorithm that does one task for you. If you build a model to play chess, it just plays chess. If you throw some other game to it, it doesn't play. It doesn't know to play. If I build a model to predict churn or attrition, it will just predict attrition. It does nothing else. Because my model is learned on the specific set of data for a specific task. So probably from start, we are already in artificial narrow intelligence. Slowly, we are getting on to AGI. When it comes to AGI, we kind of try to kind of have these 7 abilities. And I must say that we have a lot of research paper around general intelligence. If you go just explore around it, you would see, and we are almost there to it. So we have a lot of pre-trained models. I'm not sure if you have heard of transformers, if you have heard of BERT, if you have heard of all of this autoencoders. They are capable of doing multiple tasks, right? And I think super intelligence is far achieved still. Another 15, 20, wherein I'm not sure how many of you have encountered this advertisement from Hotstar, wherein there is a web series called as OK Computer. I'm sure nobody would have heard about it, but today, right? It's not a great web series. I wouldn't want you to spend time watching it, but at least watch first episode of it. You will see what artificial super intelligence mean, or probably where we would be in next 15, 20 years if everything goes as per expected. Right? So the definition which I want to give you right now, the super intelligence is super than humans in every way. Right? So if you ask me where we are now, where we are currently, we are between stage 1 and stage 2, ANI and AGI. And I would say we are almost towards AGI now when it comes to research, but when it comes to real-time applications and industry, we are somewhere between ANI and AGI. Right? So these are few of the applications what we see in and around us. I just want yes or no. You guys might have realized with time that it's an AI application, right? Right? Google is not letting you waste time on the spam emails where it's directly filtering out that to a spam folder. Your recommendation system, I've put in, I know personally put in Netflix because its recommendation is somewhat better compared to rest. Chatbots, we have spoken about it. Identifying diseases. This is one from Google and some startup ventures which has started detecting a few of the diseases at the early stages. This is my favorite because I started my career with this project. So when I was in my graduation, right, I was doing my engineering, and if someone is from a mechanical engineer background here, you'll be able to correlate it with me. So in my third year, there was a subject called as operation research, right? And operation research subject had all of this awesome problem solving techniques. One of that was traveling salesman problem. That kind of opened up my eyes. For the first time in my graduation, I felt like whatever I'm learning, I can see its impact in the business. I can apply it somewhere. I can apply it to post office parcel services. I can apply it to courier service companies. I can apply this application somewhere so that it's an impact. For the first time, I felt it, and that's kind of changed. Then I spoke to multiple industry experts. I asked them, I want to get into this field. What it is called as? I didn't know what it is called as back then. So when I say back then, it's in 2010. I'm talking about 2010, 2012, right? So that's wherein people started talking about analytics. Data science even it was not even coined back then. So that's wherein I started learning myself. I started with R, I started with whatnot, right? So that's how it is. Uber uses not only Uber, I've just mentioned Uber, but n number of company uses route optimization, right? So again, when I talk about Uber, right, one thing which comes to my mind is I would say probably you guys would curse me for that, but I would like to tell the story. So I was applying for interviews, right, and one of the company which is aggregated cab services. I would like to call the name here. You can assume it to be either Uber, Ola, and whatnot. You can assume any one of those. So they had 9 rounds of interview. Okay, so it was again back then when all of this had started. So they have just started. I mean, it's been what less than 6 months the app was started, right? So there were 9 rounds of interview for a data science position, data science and AI position, and I cleared all of those 9 rounds. For the final round, they called me to their office, which is in Bangalore. So I went to their office. Okay, I thought maybe it's a typical HR round. Maybe they'll like to discuss about the package and compensation and whatnot. So I went there all excited and probably to join them. And then they're like, I mean, please be seated in this room. And a lady kind of came with a laptop. She handed over a laptop to me, and she said, this is a password and this is the user ID to open this laptop. You have 30 minutes, and there is a problem to solve for you there. Okay, and she kind of walked off. She closed the door and she walked off. And there was a piece of paper in which I had a user ID and password. I just used that to open it up. Once I open, I just see an Excel sheet with the data. So the data what I had was all the user details, right? Basically, what we do, I go to an app, and I kind of log in. I kind of my name, my email ID, and whatnot. You all the user details. What he's trying to do, he's trying to book a cab from this location to this location. Did he get a cab? Yes or no? Was he able to book? And if he has booked it, if he has used it, or if he has cancelled it. If he has used it, what was the price of his booking? What was the kilometer he traveled? What is the feedback he has given? All of this information, basically transaction details and transaction, and obviously the app behavior. Okay, these were the columns and data what I had. One thing which caught me was there was no question. I just had the data. I started looking for question. Where is the question for me to solve? I don't know what to solve. I started looking here and there. I started looking at the board. I started looking under the table. I started looking elsewhere. I couldn't find a problem. Right, they should tell me, right? Hey, can you tell me which driver is highest paid, which driver has the highest rating? Are there any questions, or are there any problem for me? No, I couldn't find anything. I was like, yeah, this is waste of time. I mean, I tried walking out, but the door was locked. I was not reachable to anyone. So I thought maybe, oh, yeah, I mean, let's do something with the data. Maybe I'm missing on something, right? So I just started looking at the columns, and there one column which caught me was user battery percentage. The reason it caught me is back then I realized, oh my god, the app is trying to capture the information from your mobile. How come this app knows my battery percentage? Right? So that's wherein after coming back, I realized, when we download any app, right, we just do accept all. That's wherein you give permissions to all the apps to take whatever informations from your phone, be it your photos, be it your contacts, be it whatnot. So please be aware of that if you are not already. First thing, that was an opener for me. Right. So that column kind of caught me. So what I did is I started kind of analyzing from through that column. And at the end of 27th minute, I found one good insight, which was whenever a battery percentage of a user is less than 10%, the conversion rate is 100%. When I say this, what I mean is conversion for me is a booking, right? You open an app, there is a two option: either you book it or you just open it, you see the price and you walk off, right? So either you book or not is a conversion for me. So you book it, it's a conversion. So whenever overall Uber conversion rate was 27%, 27 back then. 27% was a overall conversion for this particular app, but when the battery percentage was less than 10%, the conversion rate was 100%. I just wrote this one line: overall conversion rate is 20%, 27%. When the battery percentage is so and so, your conversion rate is 100%. So this is one line what I wrote in the new tab of the Excel, and I told my test is over and I walked off. 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, I did not hear from the company. I realized maybe I've messed up with the solution, so I didn't solve it properly. So maybe I thought I lost it. After 1.5, 2 months, I get an email from a company, from the same company, and they say that you have been awarded with 5 lakh INR for your insight back then. So now, just give it a try. I'm not sure how many of you have given it a try. Either you use Ola or Uber with your battery percentage less than 10. You first of all you see a surge rate with there. So use two phones. In one phone have a battery percentage less than 10, and in another phone have above 50 or whatever. Try to book a cab. In your phone there'll be a different price, and in the other phone there'll be different price. So with one insight from the data, they are able to make huge lot of money. They are taking an advantage of you being in a crisis situation of battery low percentage, which means that you tend to book a cab for sure. So why not increase my price by 10-20%?
Okay. So we will not have any other choice to go for it.
Right, exactly. So I mean, with this, what I'm trying to say is not
Worrying
every.
is that, actually, more worrying is that they have information on my battery backup when I'm trying to book a.
Yes. Even I was shocked equally when I saw this. But then when I realized, right, when we download an app, you give accept all to all the things. That's wherein we are legally saying that, hey, you are allowed to use my information, right? So don't always rely on business to come up with a problem to you. You have data, you know the domain. Try to figure out what best you can solve for a company to improve its revenue, to improve its sales, to improve customer experience. Right? Again, I think this next word prediction, autocorrect, autocomplete. Right? This is again from NLP. All of this, application what you see in and around is because of the active research which is happening in applied NLP, translator, and then we have grammar checkings. Grammarly, I'm not sure how many of you have installed it, but it's pretty cool. They have enabled multiple AI algorithms to kind of solve this, and they are coming up with a great accuracy. And recently, during the COVID times, this application from Google, I'm liking it. So I don't really have to spend my time. I have a habit of writing huge emails. So I don't really have to kind of spend a lot of time in writing my emails. So Gmail kind of helps me autofill a lot of it. Right, especially the names. Sometimes the names are really huge, right? So even if let's say if I want to just take the first names are really huge. I don't want to go and look at their exact spelling and type in. Google is helping me for that, right? So these are a few of the applications what we see around us through ANI, right? Now, how do we get from ANI to AGI? What is there in it, right? There are few things which are difficult for humans, but they are easy to computers, or they are easy to machines, like what you see in the screen. On the contrary, there are some pieces which are easy to humans but are difficult to machines. Another such example, right? So this is a 3D rock. I can easily know it, but for a computer, it's still difficult. It just see gray and black 2D shapes. But yes, recently there are algorithms which helps us deep dive into the image and do image analytics on top of it. But yes, try to identify such gaps and see how I can transform those problems with artificial intelligence. Here are a few of the startups which are driving artificial intelligence from ANI to AGI. I've just put top 100 here, but try whatever you see on the screen, right? They are doing one of the works in today's world, one of the awesome works. If you are able to get in one of these, you're doing great in AI, right? So so far we spoke about yeah, ANI and probably somewhere between AG and ANI. But how do we achieve AGI? Is it possible? Yes, it's definitely possible with more and more and more and data and cheap computer power, cheap cloud systems. Our best computer so far, it costs in million, but and most of the companies cannot still afford it, right? So our industry expectation is that we should have enough cheap computing power by 2025. So we are just 4 years away from where we want to be to achieve AGI, right? So again, these are three strategies for us to achieve AGI. One is digitalize the brain. This is wherein the active research are happening, and day by day you see that every new algorithms which are coming in are specialized or focused towards solving particular problem or intelligence inculcated from human. Evolution, right? The hardware and software, trying to connect the dots, the IoT systems. And yes, learning from its own experience, the reinforcement learning. You'll be building all of this. You'll be building, not probably I would say all of it, but most of it. So we have a specialized labs like Dr. Shinu mentioned, wherein you will kind of, we will make you build some games, we will make you build some, really intelligent systems which can learn from its own experience. And that's what human do, right? If you ask me, what is human intelligence? Think of it as, maybe you are a kid, or probably you have your kids at home, right? Who is a 2-year-old or maybe 1-year-old or whatever, right? 3 years old. So how they start walking, how they start learning something through experience, right? Now let's say if a kid touches a hot substance, it realizes, oh my god, it's hot. I shouldn't be doing it next time. It's learning through experience, and that's what we are trying to do here. For us, experience is nothing but a data, right? It's not so far. It's whatever we want to achieve, whatever industry expert says, we are almost there, right? So if you see, I've put in what are the big leaders in this industry talks about AI, right? Stephen Hawking talks about, it's either likely to be a best or the worst thing happening. Elon Musk talk about, biggest existence threat is it's probably AI. And again, Bill Gates talk about the dangers around AI. While the business folks, these are mostly towards, researchers, I would say. Here I talk about the business man of the worlds, right? He tells it's a renaissance to the society. Andrew Ng, I believe everybody here knows Andrew Ng, right? You in one of the other tutorials, or probably learnings you might have seen is his authored courses. So he says it's a new electricity, right? So if you go back to probably your great grandfathers or whatnot, wherein we did not have electricity at all, they did not feel a need of electricity. They were happily living without electricity. But if you imagine today's generation without electricity, can we even sustain a bit? Impossible. Electricity is an thing for today's human being, right? But back then it was not. People were happily living without electricity. Again, similarly, in near future, AI is going to be the new electricity. You cannot live with it, AI. Today you feel, hey, no, Apple, Siri, I don't like them. I don't want Google Home. I don't like Alexa. Today you might feel, or today you feel that I cannot afford it. But with time, AI is going to take all of this, right? Again, obviously, I think this everybody might have seen mobile first to AI first, right? But if you are able to get it right, again, all of this is in research. We are trying to solve most of these problems, but if we get it right, there are a lot of positives around it than the negatives. I really don't say that we have to be really cautious about it, but yes, we have to be on one side. On the other side, there are a lot of advantages of it. A lot of good problems can be solved, right? I mean, again, this is a very recent news, right? Wherein Elon Musk launches about the neural link, a merger of the human brain with AI, and so on and so forth. I think there are lots. Probably I'll just skip through a few of those. I think we have spoken. So these are the 10 building blocks of AI, right? Where we have the knowledge engineering, robotics, speech recognition, NLP, image, machine learning, deep learning, cognition, and when Dr. Vaibhav talks about the course, you will see all of these elements in the curriculum. Okay, so probably I'll let Dr. Vaibhav talk about all of this in detail. So what we do in each of these phases. So these are building blocks of AI, right? I'm just skipping through all of this. Again, when we meet, I'll dig deeper into all of this. With interest of time, I'm just rushing through a few of these, right? So there are maturity phases for ANA as well. There are maturity phases for AGI as well. What is it? How we feel that, oh, AI has matured now. What is it, right? So that's wherein I would say that we are almost near phase 4 now. But for phase 5, I think it doesn't exist as of now, which is again, when I say from phase 1 to phase 5, it's from ANI to AGI, right? So here are few of the applications again. How to start building an AI product. I think you're there here with us in Reva for this. But again, these are the 4 things what you need. You need professionals like you. You need data. We need computing power. We need platforms. We have all of it. All right. Build a team. We have a team now. So we have around 15 to 20 folks in MBA and 15 to 20 folks in analytics. That's a team for us now, right? How to start building on data? Yes, we have lots of open source data with which we can do our model training or algorithms training. Computing power. Yes, we can leverage any of the existing cloud platforms what we have, right? We have access to Azure in with Reva. We can use open source Google Cloud as well. The budget what they give for first few months. Platforms, yes, and these are the platforms what we're gonna use. IBM, obviously you see it on the screen. We have TensorFlow, which is open source. We have Python and whatnot, Keras. There are multiple platforms where we can use to kind of develop AI projects, right? So again, since you see, this has to be an open source focused community, right? Wherein you don't have to pay for anything around it. You can use all of this as an open source, and even you can contribute to the open source. So yeah, I think now I'm talking about the business. But before we start with this, any questions so far? Anything?
But I have question whether you got only that 5 lakhs reward or you joined
He is
one
stuck
more.
there only. He is stuck there only.
No. I did get an offer as well as a reward, but I did not join. Because for me, I had a better offer already, a better job already. I moved to Publicis Sapient already. So for me, it's almost more than 5 years now in Publicis Sapient, and this happened almost 5-6 years back. So when I talk about Publicis Sapient, right? So when I joined, there was no data science team, zero. We started it from scratch. We were 3 folks who started, who joined with zero clients, zero problem statements, and now in 5-6 years, we all our team size, our AI and data science teams, analytics. So we have a 4 practice over there. We have data engineering, we have analytics, we have sciences and AI, right? So when I combine all of this, right, practices or streams, our team size is more than 1,500. So that's the scale what we have kind of grown in past 5 years. That's unbelievable if you ask me.
It's a matter of separate.
Sorry.
Where you have to send your resume to, right? But impress Akshay. But you impress in the class.
And even currently we have open positions more than 17. So still we are struggling to hire because for us quality is of most important, right? I mean, there are out there thousands of data scientists who get some random courses done and they want to come join us. No, we are looking for a more of an industry expert rather than just a profession, who has gone to a course and is coming off. That's the experience we are looking for, and that's what we are here to give you as well, right? Suppose let's say if it was not AI, right? If you wanted Java, MTech in Java programming, MTech in software developer, I wouldn't say that is not required because you can go through any of those courses, any of the online videos, you can do it yourself because there the business context is not really important. Here, like Dr. Shinu mentioned, your business context, what you're trying to solve, why you're trying to solve, how you connect, how you kind of translate it, very, very, very important. So I believe that's wherein you are here, right? Where you interact, you meet with the industry experts, you try to learn few things from their experience, right? So that's a problem to solution gap, and that's the industry expectation what we have. When as a CEO of a company, I'm running a business. Let's say I'm running a retail business. I'll come to you and say, hey, for me, I have a problem. My revenue is kind of decreasing since last 4 or 5 quarters. I don't know why. You being a analytics professional or data science professional or AI professional, can you help me solve this problem? That's all the client will come to you with. Now, how do you do it? This is how you connect the dots. This is how you identify the gap and connect the dots, and this is how you solve it. There are multiple, and this is what you learn in the course of time. Your planning, your predictive perspective, all the things what Dr. Shinu mentioned. Again, I don't want to spend time on it, but this is how you solve it, right? Now, if this is what is coming to you, then how do you unlock few use cases? What are the things what you would do? Are there, I mean, first thing what comes to my mind is, hey, are there customers who are leaving your subscription, or probably they are going to competitors, or your customers count has come down? That's why you are seeing downside on the revenue. Or is it that you're not doing a proper marketing, or you're not sending a customized offer to your customers, or you do not have a proper recommendation engine built? Amazon, I mean, we know that Amazon recommendation is not great, but Amazon claims that its revenue, 35% of its revenue is generated through recommendation systems. Is it that there are a lot of complaints being raised and you are not able to tackle with your existing team all the complaints from the customer? Should we build a complaint email classification system using NLP and deep learning? Should we bring in the personalization? Maybe a person who is searching for a shirt with a tie, should I bring in a flavor of color size automatically, what I call it as personalization? Or should I bring in a visual search in my e-commerce retail? Right, I mean, this was at least my, and I have built it personally, I would say, right, for one of our clients in Publicis Sapient. This, I mean, if you go 1 or 2 years back, none of them had it. Now Myntra has this, right? For me, this was one of the important application, right? Because whenever I go out, whenever I'm stuck in a traffic while I'm driving, I see a lot of good shirts and pants and t-shirts and whatnot around me, people wearing. I like it. So let's say I like a particular shirt which is of black color, white lines and whatnot. I come back to home, I search for it. Obviously, I'll not be able to find the exact color, exact pattern and whatnot. But what if I can take a picture of that shirt right away, upload it to the search platforms, and the e-commerce platform will give me the most relevant or the closest match shirt of what is there in the image, right? It's obviously a wow kind of application for me, at least. That's what I felt. So we have built such systems for most of the major clients in North America. And also we have another system which we call it as Magic Mirror. So it's a Publicis Sapient owned product which we are trying to sell to major retailers in North America. So we have our AI labs. So there we have built. So Magic Mirror, what it does is, so you go to a retail store, right, where and you choose some of your shirts or t-shirts, and you walk into the change room. There you have a mirror, and that's wherein our Magic Mirror would be implemented, wherein you try out any of the t-shirt over there. The Magic Mirror recommends in the bottom, hey, this is what you're wearing, but these are the other things which might look better on you, and these are there in our inventory. So I can select those. So I'm standing in right front of the mirror, and I can change like you have the Lenskart experience now, right? So Lenskart is helping you kind of have those 3D models of your face, and have a feel of how the spec would look on you when you wear it. So that's kind of a product what we have built for a retail stores in North America. And the demo what I showed you, that is what you see here. The detergent, the rice powder thing, right? So we have an opportunity. It's not that we cannot solve all of this. We can, and we have, and whatever you see here, all these have been solved. So now, since this is a problem what I'm seeing, this is not the solution what I showed here. I'm also showing the solution how I think I can solve it. How I think I can bring the semantic search engine in place. This is the architecture what I built, right? And these are the techniques, these are the algorithms. If I use, I'll be able to solve that problem in no time, right? So that's pretty much. I think maybe I had a lot of things to talk about and cover, but with interest of time, I know Shinu might already be thinking that this guy is talking too much. Probably I'll stop before that. So these are few of the applications, around other domains, other industries. This is again on the video analytics. You would again solve it in one of our courses, one of our modules, right? So wherein how we can leverage the videos from the retail stores to bring in AI on top of it, right? Again, product categorization, reinforcement learning, next best action, whatnot. And here I have a few applications from each of these industries, right? Automobiles, marketing, healthcare, finance, whatnot. Probably we'll pick few of these and work as a capstone project in your due course of time. But this is all I had for today. Until we meet next.